interestingly enough, I studied here in the 1970s and early 80s, and I really started. I suppose I did some plays at school, but I really started thinking about theatre seriously as doing student theatre at Melbourne University. And I then, at the end of my university, overlapping my university, I got into the VCA as an actor, and I trained as an actor. I worked professionally for about 10 years and then began to move into directing. I've never trained as a director, which is actually not uncommon. I've just been doing a thesis on the training of theatre directors, and it turns out that less than half of the professional directors in Australia have done any training. So then I was working. My first kind of main directing job was with the Queensland Theatre Company as the associate to Robin Nevin and then Michael Gow. And then I was back in Melbourne for a couple of years, and then I got the job as the artistic director of Black Swan Theatre Company in Perth. So I was there for 5 years running Black Swan. And then I returned to Melbourne kind of for family reasons as well, with my wife and kids. Both my wife and I, our parents were getting old, and we wanted to kind of be back in Melbourne. And this job came up, and I thought, that's a fantastic job. And so I've been here since then, since 2009. Yeah. The tradition here, and this predates me, has been that when there are very talented students, we will commission them to write plays. And again, I mean, Declan Green, Lally, one of her shows was done here. Angus Serini, quite a lot of very now notable writers had their first commissions here. And in the time I've been here, I've commissioned Chris Summers, who's now graduated, an up-and-coming writer, Fregmonte Stokes, better known as Twiggy Palmcock, who crashed the Prime Minister's inauguration speech, and Kereth. So out of, I suppose, 10 shows that I've done, 3 of them have been commissions from students. So we like to alternate, because obviously it's great also to expose student performers and designers to plays by experienced, established playwrights and classics and stuff like that. So we kind of mix it up a bit, but it's not that rare to commission a student writer when there's one of the kind of calibre that you recognise as being capable of writing something that will satisfy everyone. These are not trained actors; they're not experienced actors. Some of them are extremely good actors, but they're mostly instinctual actors. So to a degree, with a show like this, one of the really kind of key things is to get people understanding how to operate in an ensemble way and how to relinquish that kind of the attachment that most actors have to the idea of character. So even though they will be playing someone who is called Suitor 5 throughout the play, really that's radically different character each time. I mean, the character of that person is really suiting that little scenario of that scene, and then they become someone else in the next one. So it's much more about the actor understanding their role as a storyteller and their role in the bigger fabric of this, I say narrative, even though it doesn't have a kind of fundamental story. It's a collage, which actually it's a very exciting and satisfying acting task, but it's one that most people are not familiar with. A lot of even trained actors actually tend to get trained mostly in naturalism, psychological realism, where you have a character with objectives and you follow them through. So that's part of it. Will be making people familiar with the idea that you just play with that little scenario in the moment, and then you let it go, and you're yourself as an actor again, and then you pick up another sort of persona for the next scene and play that to the hilt, and then move on to the next one. So it's much more, in a way, it's like sketch comedy. In a way, you throw yourself into that scene and play it to the hilt, and then go somewhere radically different for the next one. I mean, that was also something we were kind of looking for in the auditions, was just people who were imaginatively loose and kind of fairly playful. So yeah.
I think they can all do it.
Mm.
We'll see.